Okay, so we kind of touched on the importance of the core and strengthening. We think of the abdominals and your hip strength as the core. What you want to think about is your leg, whatever happens as a chain. Whatever happens at the hip happens at the knee and happens at the ankle. So if you have weakness in your hip muscles, what's going to happen? Say if you do a single leg squat. Here, either your hip is going to come up because it's not going to have good control, or this hip muscle is not going to be able to control the knee, so the knee's going to go in towards the middle, okay? And that's going to cause increased stress here at the hip and at the knee, a lot like we were talking about IT band problems, which runs from here and all the way crosses the knee here. So if you want to think about running, every single step you take is kind of like a mini single leg squat. So if you don't have good stability in your core and your hip region, you're going to take a step here, and either your hip's going to hike up this way, or the knee's going to go towards the midline. So here's some examples. This is called a side step. You can get an elastic band or whatever you have. You're going to be down into a squat position, and you're going to go side to side just like this.
Of course, I have my band like that when I sit and watch TV. You
And
can do the same thing, put it between your feet and sit there and hold it for about 30 seconds or a minute. It's multitasking. You're training while you're doing something else. I believe highly in trying to combine some of this simple stuff with daily routine stuff that you do, and then that way you kill two birds with one stone.
It's my life motto. Here's some just other simple examples. This one right here is also a hip strengthening exercise. I'm sure some of y'all have done it, but you want to make sure when you do this one that you bring your leg up and back. If you bring your leg forward, you're going to be using a hip flexor muscle here instead of your abductor muscle.
Imagine me laying on the ground. Okay, you want to come straight out this way. Okay, the natural tendency is to go this way. So I'm leaning back, and I'm using my hip flexors, so I'm cheating easier. Okay, or go this way, in which I'm using my gluteus medius, which is my butt muscle. They would serve their purpose, but it's really not serving what you want. You want to make sure you're perfectly out that way. Okay, to make it harder, then what you can do, if that's then point your toes straight up towards the ceiling. This is harder than this. Okay. You all see that?
No, they couldn't see.
So
nope.
Making sure you're going straight out. Okay. And then you can point your toes towards the ceiling and go straight out. But not forward and not back. You want to make sure it's perfectly straight out to the side.
No, it's okay. Okay, and then here are just some different core strengthening exercises. A lot of people do things with the stability ball and plank. Here, I think I have, okay. Here's some other abdominal exercises, the bicycle where you're alternating, and then obliques where you're coming up and crunching. I think one thing I really wanted to touch on is form. Okay, I'm a really, really big stickler on form and biomechanics. So if whatever exercise you're doing, if you're doing it incorrectly, you're going to either put stress on the wrong parts or you're not going to work the right muscles. That's something that you really want to watch out for with fatigue. That can be, if you're really trying to work out hard in the gym or you're doing a long run. If you feel like you're fatiguing, then that's when your form is going, to fail and then increase your risk for injury. Okay, so do you see in this plank, I'm flat here. Now look at this sag right there. Okay, see how I'm not engaging my abdominals at all, and I'm putting a lot of stress on my lower back. So if you have improper form, you want to modify whatever you're doing. I can put my knees down and keep my back flat. Okay. Okay, and here's a squat. I see this a lot. Proper way to squat's right here on the left. You want to sit back like you're in a chair, and you don't want to let your knees go over your toes. You see right here where my knees are headed towards over my toes? That's going to put increased pressure on my knees. And then also deep squatting. Anywhere past 90 degrees, I normally tell my patients don't even go past 60 degrees on a squat.
Like the last
I do.
30, 20,
yeah.
30. I mean, I do all my squat is here. That's all.
So that's all you need, because anything more than that is going to put increased stress on the knees. And if you're, doing a lot of running or biking or whatever, you don't need that extra stress on the knees.
Same with leg extensions. Last 15, 20 degrees. Same philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of isometric type stuff, which means I hold it. So I'll do heavy weight, but I'll sit there and I'll hold it for 15, 20, 30 seconds. And then instead of doing high repetition, which is how I've been able to do more circuits that way, but it's also the it also trains the muscle to be stronger, quicker, with less stress on the muscle. So I do a lot of my training. You know, while we're talking about the core, I had said that I do, you know, I can do my core exercise. I have a Bowflex, but you can use it like a decline bench. I take two 12-pound dumbbells, I'm able to do a leg extension on mine. So I hold a leg extension with a decline bench and two 12-pound dumbbells, and I sit there and I just do upper repetition to where I hold my core, where I have nothing behind me supporting me, and I make sure I hold, you know, rock solid. So I'm working from here all the way up, and I add the weights in upper body. And I could do that as my only weight workout, and it would train my arms, my legs, my back, and my abdomen all within. And I could do 2 sets of that of a minute each, and that's 2 minutes. And you can, I mean, it's that easy to get a weight workout in if you don't have the time. And it doesn't require much resources.
I think also one thing I wanted to touch base on as far as with core strengthening is I see a lot of people doing abdominal exercises maybe where they're laying on their back and they let their legs go down, you know, like up and down, maybe doing like the V's or something. If you let your lower back come off the mat, then you're no longer engaging your abs. You're going to start putting pressure on your back. So you want to think everything that you do core-wise, you want to make sure that your back stays flat and you're bringing your belly button in towards your spine. The minute that you let your back arch or come off the mat, that's telling you, number one, your abs aren't strong enough to do that exercise. You may have to just not lower your legs that much. So, you know, the more that you become familiar with your body and how far that, you know, you can do things, and that's going to help prevent you from injury.
Also do everything as controlled motions. You know, I stopped going to the gym for several reasons. One is, you know, watching personal trainers teach people how to do things wrong. You know, everything should be a slow, controlled motion. You know, use bench press as an example. You know, the up motion everybody thinks is the most important part, so they just let the weight come back down. The coming back down is more important than the up. It's the weaker muscle, and so everything you want to do a slow, controlled motion. Think of, you know, every push and pull, you want to actually have a controlled lengthening of that muscle. So, you know, as you're doing, you know, lat pull where you're coming down, let it up slowly. Don't just let it go back up. I mean, use both to your advantage and do everything as a slow, controlled motion. It's not about speed, it's not about numbers, not about repetition. It's about doing it with proper form and doing it with slow, controlled motions. And that'll train you quicker, better, faster, and less likely to injure yourself, less likely to throw out your shoulder, less likely to, I mean, I don't do heavy weights, and, you know, I'm stronger than, you know, most women my age. I mean, it's not from pure, you know, weight, it's just from proper technique and using both, you know, there's 2 types of muscle contractions. Concentric, which is the shortening of the muscle. Eccentric is the controlled lengthening. So when you sit here in a squat like this, when you start getting wobbly knees, we've all done that, you know, you get tired, you start wobbling, that's your eccentric weakness, and that is the weakest muscle, and that's the reason why you get hurt, is not from, you know, you bulk up on one, but the other side's really weak, and it fatigues first.